Alright, so we're doing Balance of Powers from Compass Games, John Gorkowski. I was gonna wait to do a whole turn before I did any kind of video. But, wow, this game starts out with some pretty heavy decision making if you play the historical. Mainly in the naval. So, the game sequence of play starts with two general quarters phase. And those are the naval phases. And I want to back up and talk a little bit, and before I talk about the naval, about the supply. So here we have the British Corps and the main British fleet. This is the British Expeditionary Corps with the fleet, and they want to transfer them over to France. Easy enough, and that's no problem. The supply rules are a little tricky, though. You have to have a friendly squadron or naval surface unit in the port of that country and in the port you're going for. So the British units can't draw supply from any of the French locations. They have to draw it from Britain. So they need to have, I mean, it could be a French ship here, and a French squadron, and they could have a British squadron, but they have to have that to draw supply. Now, let's talk about the other part of this, and that is Serbia-Montenegro, okay? So, they're minor powers. They give money back to their countries they're assigned to. In this case, I can either assign them to Russia or I can assign them to France. France makes more sense. Russia, which I'll talk about in a bit, but they can only rebuild their units if they can trace supply back to their assigned power, which is France. In order to do that, Greece will allow the Entente to trace supply through their country, but the French have to get a naval unit there to Salonika, and also, of course, have one back in their home country here, whether in Toulon or Nice or whatever, in order to do that. So the game right away starts with these really difficult decisions. The Central Powers move first in the naval phase. The Central Powers they can go and try and keep the British Expeditionary Force from making it to France. And I looked at it. We did the setup here over on the rest of the world map. The Brits committed a fair amount of their naval forces to hunt down these German surface raiders. The Brits had to set up first, of course, and then the Germans put their light cruiser squadrons out here to surface raid, but there's a fair amount of them. So if we look at the naval strength, it's not that far off. The Brits still have an advantage versus the German fleet, but it's not a huge advantage. So the Germans are going to decide to basically sortie their fleet and try and mess with the BEF from making it to France. The Austrians, they've got a tougher decision. They're pretty... there's a lot more French units, and if they sortie out of their port, there's a potential that the French could really wreck their navy. So it's a more difficult decision. However, the French, they want to move, from Toulon over to Salonika. They also want to pick this guy up and take him back into France to help defend France. So, wow, right off the bat, so many decisions with the naval combat. I really like that. And I think so many World War I games do not give this level of detail to it or take it into account. I've actually already put the German U-boats here next to the British fleet, and I'm going to sortie the German fleet out. It costs some money. There's some risks. But if I can keep the British Expeditionary Force from making it into France and Belgium, I think this is the best time to do it. Down here, the Austro-Hungarians are gonna sortie their submarines down and do strategic warfare in the Med. I don't think they're gonna challenge the French fleet at this point, though. I think the odds are just way too against them. But anyway, I really like this right off the bat. You know, tough choice, interesting choice. You know, the Germans could certainly, the Central Powers, Germans can say, hey, we're not going to sort you out. We'll let the British land. I just want to do this, and we're probably going to have a big naval battle. So, you know, I said I would cut back after a turn, but I'll probably show a big naval battle here shortly, and we'll see how that works out. Could be a big mistake by Germany, but we'll see.